Stoked about that. Organic mangoes, take it. Don't drink alcohol. You guys know about that. Don't need leaky gut. Not trying to shrink my brain. Let's see what else we got here. They've got organic mandarin oranges. Man, Costco's got a lot of organic fruit. Organic bananas. That is a lot of organic dates. 2 pounds of organic dates. They got some salads and vegetable trays over here. We can skip that. Don't need any of that stuff. Got a big thing of organic blueberries. They've got a bunch of grapes here, but I don't eat grapes unless they're organic. Grapes have a ton of pesticides. I'm gonna skip the mushrooms in case you guys haven't seen me talk about mushrooms. It's pretty clear that white button mushrooms like this contain compounds that are carcinogenic. Agarotine in white button mushrooms has been linked to bladder cancer in animal models. If you cook the white button mushrooms, you probably get rid of most of the carcinogens, but I still don't eat them because I'm not sure we can get rid of all the carcinogens just by cooking them. Shiitake mushrooms don't have agarotine, but mushrooms are still fungi. They're stuck in the ground. They have defense chemicals. I'm not convinced there are any unique compounds in mushrooms that allow humans to be optimally healthy that you can't get in things like meat and organs, fruit, honey, and raw dairy on an animal-based diet. There's a compound in mushrooms that gets talked about sometimes called ergothioneine. It's an amino acid that's been linked to improvements in cognitive function with aging. But guess what? You can also get ergothioneine in liver. So skip the mushrooms. The promised land, we have arrived. All right, organic ground beef. Of course, it's Costco, so you get 3 pounds, and they've got ground bison too. That's cool. I usually prefer to get the fattiest meat that I can. This bison is a little leaner than I like it, 90-10, but when I cook this ground bison, I'll probably add a little bit of fat in the form of tallow or butter, or maybe I'll make some bone marrow and eat that with the lean ground beef. Costco has a lot of USDA choice meat, which is grain finished. Let's see if I can find any grass-fed. I'm not optimistic. Now, they don't have grass-fed beef, but they do have a lamb leg from Australia. And I'm pretty sure that all of the lamb in Australia is entirely grass-fed. I know that all the lamb in New Zealand is entirely grass-fed. So I'm always trying to get grass-fed, grass-finished meat. I'm gonna skip the pork. If I could find truly pastured pork that wasn't fed a bunch of grains, I would eat it. Pork is great. It's higher in thiamine according to the USDA, but you can get thiamine from fruit and plant foods and orange juice. If you're worried about that, my problem with most pork is that it's fed grains. It's fed corn and soy, and that corn and soy is very high in linoleic acid, and pigs and chickens can't get rid of that linoleic acid, which means the fat of pigs and the fat of chickens fed corn and soy ends up much higher in linoleic acid than the corresponding fat of a wild pig or a wild chicken. In wild chickens and wild pigs, the amount of linoleic acid is around 5%, 5 or 6%. But in domesticated chickens and pigs, you're looking at 15, 16, 17% linoleic acid. And excess linoleic acid is the polyunsaturated fatty acid found in seed oils that I'm very worried about. There are so many reasons that seed oils and the linoleic acid in seed oils appear to be harmful for humans. In short, accumulates in cell membranes. We can't get rid of it. Probably causes increased permeability in membranes, accumulates in mitochondrial membranes in the cardiolipin, causing problems with the electron transport chain, leads to increased oxidation of LDL, increased oxidized LDL, and has been shown in randomized controlled studies like Minnesota Coronary Study, which is a long study of over 9,000 participants, to be linked directly in that randomized controlled trial to higher rates of coronary disease, which makes sense when you realize that linoleic acid gets into the LDL particles and causes increased oxidation, etc. They've at least got organic milk, so that would be the place that I would start, but I prefer raw milk. They did have raw cheese, and I think it's kind of hilarious that they have the oat milk and the almond milk and the soy milk in the dairy container, even though these are not dairy at all, trying to pretend, whatever. But if you want to eat seafood, make sure you get wild salmon that is Alaskan sockeye. Don't get Atlantic salmon. All Atlantic salmon is farm raised. And if you're getting shrimp or shellfish, be aware that some shrimp, I bet we can find some over there, has added colorings in it that you do not want. You just want an uncolored shrimp that you can cook yourself. Let's see if we can find some cheese here. They've got this raw cheese, Gruyere from Switzerland. It's pretty easy to find. Aged 8+ months, made with raw milk. You can see here that when a cheese is not raw, Even though it's organic, it's not raw, you can see on the label it says that the milk is pasteurized. So pasteurized means the milk has been heated 160, 200 degrees. That seems to change the conformation of the whey protein in the milk. You can see from studies like this one that kids who drink raw milk have lower rates of asthma, allergies, and eczema in adulthood. There seems to be something protective about the whey protein that is undenatured in raw milk and probably in raw cheese. So I always opt for raw dairy when I can get it. Look at how misleading this is. Hot smoked salmon, it says Norwegian asterisk salmon. It's produced in the Netherlands, and if you read the back, it comes from the cold waters of well-established fish farms.